also make a bigger part of contribution for the world. Thank you.
感谢习近平总书记的重要主旨讲话。
General Secretary Xi Jinping
现在
for
请
your important keynote
南
speech.
非非国
Now
大
let's
主
give the
席
floor to Mr.
总统
Cyril
拉马福萨发
Ramaphosa,
言。
President of the African National Congress and the President of the Republic of South Africa.
Thank you, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, President Xi Jinping, members of the Central Committee of the CPC, leaders from political parties from around the world, comrades and friends. It is indeed a great honor and privilege on behalf of the 109-year-old African National Congress of South Africa to convey to the Communist Party of China revolutionary greetings on the great and solemn occasion of its centenary. This is indeed a joyous occasion, not only of China, but of the world. For us as South Africans, this is a particularly auspicious moment because we are this month also celebrating the 100th anniversary of the formation of the South African Communist Party, the ANC. The South African Communist Party is a revolutionary organization that played a central role in our struggle for freedom and democracy. We are here today representing movements from different parts of the world, but we share a common desire, understanding for progress and development. Many of us who are participating in this summit owe a great debt of gratitude to the Communist Party of China for its unwavering support and solidarity as we have fought for liberation and independence, and as we have worked our nations together. We applaud the CPC's internationalist policies, which over the course of many decades have promoted multilateralism, understanding, and peace. As Africans, we deeply appreciate the progressive policies that China has pursued in supporting the development of our continent, Africa, and the aspirations of our people. We do this convinced and convicted that indeed China has been a good friend and a loyal friend to many of us on the African continent. Through measures like the Belt and Road Initiative and extensive skills development, China continues to support economic reform, instructive development, enhanced trade, and greater integration amongst African economies. We therefore welcome and commend the declaration by President Xi Jinping that the party will continue to work with all peace-loving countries and peoples to promote shared human values of peace, development, fairness, justice, democracy, and freedom. We concur with President Xi Jinping that we must continue working to promote the building of a human community with a shared future. As the world confronts the coronavirus pandemic, we are called upon to give material effect to the principles of unity, compassion, and solidarity. We are called upon to use our multilateral institutions to bridge the huge divide that exists between wealthy countries and poorer nations in access to medicines, vaccines, diagnostics, and other essential supplies. At this moment, as never before, to ensure that no person is denied access to COVID-19 vaccines because of where in the world they live, because of their gender, their race or language, or because of their personal circumstances. As political parties from across the world, we need to take a firm stand against vaccine imperialism and vaccine nationalism, not only because it is morally indefensible, but because it will defer for many years the end of this pandemic that the world is facing. As the African continent, we are seeking the support of the nations of the world for vaccines for our citizens, to develop our own vaccine manufacturing capacity, and to secure a TRIPS waiver at the World Trade Organization to rapidly expand global vaccine production. We would like to use this opportunity to thank the government and the people of China for the generous provision of vaccine equipment and other vital medical supplies for our continental response to COVID-19. We listened with intent as President Xi Jinping explained the journey of building a moderately prosperous China, the realization of the first century goal. We are inspired by the progress that China has made to eradicate absolute poverty in the largest developing economy on the planet. The historic achievements of the CPC have been made more possible because it has placed the needs and the interests of the people at the center of its work. We wholeheartedly endorse the statement by President Xi Jinping that the people are the true heroes, for it is they who create history. As the African National Congress, we are honored to have a strategic relationship with the Communist Party of China and regard the CPC as a true and reliable and valued friend. I thank you and I say congratulations for the achievement of your 100 years of existence. May the CPC exist for another 100 years. Thank you very much.
感谢纳马福萨主席的发言。
Thank you, President
现在请
Ramaphosa. Now I would like to invite Mr. Nazarbayev, Chairman of Nur-Otan Party and First President of Kazakhstan.
Господин Xi Jinping,
Your Excellency, General Secretary Xi Jinping, dear heads of political parties, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the President of the People's Republic of China to host today's summit. I'm grateful to you, my dear friend, for the invitation to take part in and speak at such a representative political event by world standards. I'm very pleased to personally congratulate you and all the friendly Chinese people on an important historic date of the Communist Party of China. I'm convinced that the successful rise and accelerated growth of the PRC in the 21st century is directly related to the leading role of the CPC in the country's development. Dear colleagues, the theme of our summit is very relevant and reflects the work of our New Otang Party, which I head. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the independence of my country. As the ruling political party all these years, we have defined our main priority from the very beginning. Its victories and achievements are of no value if they do not lead to the betterment of the well-being and society as a whole. Without false modesty, I can say that we have something to be proud of in this regard. Confidence and support of the party and compatriots, Kazakhstan by now has entered a group of UN countries with the highest reaching 51st place among 189 states. Our country has built an economy that is the 41st in the world and the second in the Commonwealth of Independent States. It takes the 35th place among the most competitive countries on the planet. At the same time, our country's GDP has grown by 15 times to $171 billion, and GDP per capita has increased by 13 times to $9.1 thousand. The welfare of citizens has increased significantly, reaching the level of a number of Eastern European states and the second place in the CIS, where we are second only to Russia. Incomes of the population have grown 10 times. Social payments have multiplied. Poverty rate decreased 11 times. Unemployment rate has been reduced to 4.8%. Expectancy has increased from 67 to 73 years. The country's economy attracted more than $365 billion of foreign investments. We will continue to work to ensure a decent standard of living for citizens and the modernization of Kazakhstan as a socially Our goal is to be among the 30 most developed countries in the world. Dear friends, Chinese President Xi Jinping first put forward the idea of a new version of the Silk Road to Kazakhstan in 2013. I still remember that vividly. And we have kept close personal friendship. being a golden bridge in the heartland of Eurasia and at an important connecting Asia and Europe, North and South, our country immediately supported the Belt and Road Initiative, which has already fully proven its effectiveness and usefulness for its participants. As a friendly neighbor of China's, we will participate in cooperation within the Belt and Road Initiative. Today, our Chinese colleagues initiated a new platform for multilateral dialogue, this time for political parties. Of my thoughts on this matter, first, the COVID-19 pandemic has once again proved that it is possible to global challenges through international partnership and mutual support. Political parties can and should play their positive role here. Now, the main area where it is necessary to use a cooperative approach is of COVID vaccines among all countries in the world. Kazakhstan has developed its own vaccine, Kazvac, which is currently undergoing WHO approval. Our government is already considering options. Second, the current crisis has put the poorest countries and the most vulnerable population in an even more unenviable position. Tens of millions of jobs have been lost. Many people have lost their livelihoods. And the World Bank estimates that over 120 million so-called new poor have emerged. We should also take into account the 160 million people currently living in conflict zones, as well as refugees raised from their homes as a result of hostilities. In these difficult days, it is important for political parties to try not to leave anyone on the side of the road. We all need to work together to minimize the challenges of geography and development inequalities. Third, I stand for our voice to be heard loud and clear in the world. In particular, I believe that political parties can have closer interaction in order to contribute to overcoming geopolitical tensions. We all know that our supporters, voters, and ordinary citizens of our states in no way share the concepts of rivalry, powers, an arms race, military conflicts, trade wars, and sanctions. On the contrary, our peoples articulate the demand for peaceful coexistence, life without fear for today, and with faith for tomorrow, for our children and grandchildren. This is also fully reflected in the keynote speech of General Secretary Xi Jinping. Dear participants, Kazakhstan and China are good neighbors, united by a common border of more than 1,700 kilometers. And I'm glad that the New Otan Party and the CPC are making our contributions to strengthening the partnership between our two countries. At the end of my speech, I wish the CPC and the people of the country and General Secretary Xi Jinping new successes and prosperity. I wish all your targets are met I wish the summit great success. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Chairman Nazarbayev, for your speech. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Dmitry Medvedev, Chairman of the United Russian Party and the Deputy Chairman of the Security Council of the Russian Federation.
Уважаемый господин генеральный секретарь Китая и председатель Китайской Народной Республики Си Цзиньпин,
General Secretary Xi Jinping,
участники партийного
dear
саммита,
participants of the conference,
товарищи и друзья. Прежде всего, тоже хотел
dear comrades, friends.
поздравить китайских друзей со столетием образования коммунистической партии.
First of all, I would like to cordially congratulate our Chinese friends on the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China and thank the organizer for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Одно из самых знаменательных событий
The centenary is undoubtedly one of the most significant events of our country, a festival to celebrate for all the Chinese people. Over the past century, the CPC was able to successfully pave the way for socialism with Chinese characteristics, or what is now commonly known as the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. The CPC has been transformed into a powerful political force that has more than 95 million members. Over the past century, the Chinese people have courageously gone through many trials. At one time, the Soviet Union actively supported the Chinese communists in their revolutionary struggle and provided them with important assistance in party and state building. We cherish the memory of our common history, in particular of the 6th Congress of the Communist Party of China, which took place in a village near Moscow. It was the USSR that first established diplomatic ties with the People's Republic of China in 1949. And after 7 decades, Russia-China Comprehensive Strategic Cooperative Partnership is rightly characterized as the best in our history. The partnership continues to develop on the basis of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation, the 20th anniversary of which will be celebrated by my Chinese friends and I in just a few days. This document fully absorbs the centuries-old positive experience in the development and strengthening of ties between our two countries. Last week, Russian President and Your Excellency, distinguished Mr. General Secretary, officially announced the extension of the treaty for 5 years in a joint statement. Without exaggeration, this is a historic event that will actively contribute to the development of our cooperation for the benefit of our two peoples. All necessary conditions have been created for the treaty's extension. Over the years, we have been jointly implementing large-scale projects both on a bilateral basis and within the framework of government platforms. I am also proud of my personal contribution to this work as President and Prime Minister of the Russian Federation.
Наше активное сотрудничество не прекращается даже в самые сложные периоды, в период пандемии. Взаимная поддержка, понимание
общих интересов. Cooperation does not stop even during the pandemic. Mutual support, understanding of common interests help us to effectively complete projects. Our priority now is to combine the building of the Eurasian Economic Union with the Belt and Road Initiative to form a broader economic partnership. China continues to be our largest trading partner. In the first quarter of this year, the two-way trade turnover increased by more than 13%. Cooperation plans in the fields of energy and industry, as well as high-tech and agriculture. Our two countries advocate with international regulations in the global market. This is especially important in the context of imposed trade wars and illegitimate sanctions pressure. Another important area of work is strengthening cooperation in combating the drug threat, terrorism and extremism. Is penetrating all spheres of life. Russia and China are consistently expanding cooperation in information security and countering cybercrime, striving for convergence of our stance. People-to-people exchanges are no less important than business and political ties. Therefore, we will continue to implement programs in education, culture, science, tourism, and sports. Our joint action against COVID-19 may be productive as well, which is also reflected in your speech just now. We have supported each other in bilateral and multilateral mechanisms and frameworks. We have conducted extensive cooperation in such areas as prevention and diagnosis of the disease and the development of vaccines and drugs. China managed to overcome this crisis in a short time. Like Russia, when faced with a criminal or critical situation, China tried not to leave countries most affected by the pandemic and provided assistance to every country in need. Russia has repeatedly forward a proposal to create green corridors through which essential goods could be delivered to all countries, including countries under sanctions. It is a pity that it was not supported by our colleagues in the West. Political parties play a significant role in shaping key government decisions. Relations between the United Russia Party and the CPC have a 20-year history and are developing progressively. A CPC delegation attended the first Congress of United Russia in 2001. 2004, an agreement on interaction and cooperation was signed. Despite the limitations associated with the pandemic, our parties continue systematically to contact both through the central authorities and regional party structures. We discuss all topical issues, such as the fight against COVID-19, overcoming the socio-economic consequences of the pandemic, and digital transformation in the interests of people. We continue to exchange practical experience in parliamentary and legislative activities and coordinate in the initiative demanded by our peoples. In October 2020, the CPC took an active part in the new inter-party platform SCO Plus initiated by United Russia. It was the first virtual forum for parliamentary majority of the SCO member states, as well as political forces of the BRICS and the CIS countries. I would also like to note the unique United Russia CPC dialogue mechanism and the Forum for Political Parties in Russia and China. They are held in turn in our respective countries and are supported at the highest level. This gives the platform a serious practical dimension and allows the business communities of Russia and China to establish mutually beneficial partnerships. Your Excellency, Mr. General Secretary, and dear participant, the great Chinese statesman and reformer Deng Xiaoping once said that you completely serve the people, listen to the voices of the people, not strive for empty glory, but do more practical deeds. Following these principles, the CPC is celebrating its centenary with impressive achievements both in socio-economic development and in the international arena. I am deeply convinced that Mr. Deng Xiaoping's words are true for all leading political parties in the world. They are responsible for the most important task of protecting the interests of their voters. And this task cannot be accomplished without strengthening cooperation, friendship, and mutual understanding between governments and political parties. We will continue to work responsibly in this direction. Thank you very much.
感谢梅德韦杰夫
Thank you, Chairman, for your speech. Now, let's give the floor to Mr. Alberto Fernandez, President of the Justicialist Party and President of the Republic of Argentina.
Muy bien, buenos días desde Buenos Aires, señor Presidente de la República Popular China y Secretario General.
People's Republic of China and the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, representatives of political parties, ladies and gentlemen.
Al presidente su maravilloso discurso, donde ha puesto en valor.
It gives me great honor to participate in my capacity as President of the Justicialist Party of the Republic of Argentina in the summit. I've listened very carefully to the speech delivered. His speech is visionary and insightful, and we have drawn a lot of inspiration from this speech. which can help political parties to reflect upon what kind of responsibility those political parties should play. It is my honor to participate in my of Argentina, and I am glad to reflect on the responsibility of political parties for people's well-being. I would like to begin with a brief personal reference. When I was a teenager and decided to embrace political activity, I did so with the conviction that politics was the most genuine and effective instrument to improve the life of the people. That is why I chose to join the Justicialist Party of my country. After many years of work, today I have the honor and responsibility of leading our party, and both my convictions and the ideals of our party remain unchanged. Without departing from our essence, we work every day to generate adequate responses to the challenges of the 21st century. The birth of the Justicialist Party in Argentina is directly associated with the profound recognition of the people for the actions taken by Juan Domingo Perón, who was president for 3 times, and by Eva Perón, his wife, who was a pioneer in the struggle for the equality of women.
Es precisamente por eso nosotros nos reconocemos en nuestra identidad de peronistas.
That is why we recognize ourselves as Peronists, to be Peronists. The Justicialist Party is the party of the people, of all workers and businessmen, of students and professionals, of young people and scientists, and of all those who share a central idea. There's no individual success in a community that does not fulfill itself and applies in its policies a concept of solidarity and integration of society that includes all men and women. We define ourselves politically in a set of principles and banners that have guided our party for more than 75 years and are embraced by the vast majority of the Argentine people. Why these banners are so deeply rooted in the hearts of our people. One only has to look at the enormous political and social revolution brought about by the work of Juan Domingo Perón and the egalitarian action of Eva Perón. In the history of Argentina, Peronism emerged in the middle of the 20th century. 3 objectives guided our party: to build a socially just, economically free, and politically sovereign homeland. We uphold these 3 banners and claim them for all the nations in the world. In Argentina, we're working to attend to the needs of our people and to propose a respectful relationship with all countries. Within this framework, the People's Republic of China is our comprehensive strategic partner, and this year we're bilateral relations. Therefore, I'd like to reiterate our gratitude for the cooperation of the Chinese government and people with the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks to donations and facilities in times of global shortages, they have helped us in a decisive way. Are strong and diversified, and we share many possibilities for development. present, China is our second largest trading partner and also makes important investments in infrastructure, transport, gas pipelines, and other areas. We seek to deepen the active participation of exchanges between our countries. China holds important international events that bring the world together, and in these events, the Argentine government facilitates and promotes the participation of its companies so that it is possible to further improve the quality of Argentine production that responds to the demand of the Chinese population. Our government has been encouraging exports of knowledge-based services, an area in which we have many links to deepen with China. We are also aware of the interest of many Chinese citizens in visiting our country and Latin America, and we are working to facilitate these trips by means of new flight routes, visa simplification, and the creation of projects that meet their demand.
China es el líder mundial en turismo emisivo.
China is a world leader in outbound tourism. Please feel assured that our country and our region are waiting for you with open arms. In short, we have in front of us a wide common path that we can follow for the benefit of the Chinese and Argentine people. Today we're meeting to reflect on the role of political parties in people's lives. Political parties are the most genuine instruments to move people forward in the pursuit of a greater well-being. We're living in a crucial moment on a planetary scale. Scientific and technological development has long since provided humanity with the means to eradicate hunger and malnutrition and to ensure decent living conditions for all inhabitants. However, this is not the picture that the world is giving us. Sadly, we are seeing injustices here and there. This possible well-being is denied to many millions of people. The global pandemic we face has brought to the forefront the profound inequalities that condemn millions and millions of human beings. No longer postpone joint action by all countries to reduce these inequalities. Argentina has been promoting in different international forums and mechanisms the creation of a work plan whose priority is to build a fairer world order. Leaders of political parties, we must strengthen a cooperative agenda with a view to economic and social development whose benefits truly reach all the people. Meetings such as what we are having today undoubtedly contribute to consolidating this awareness. To conclude, once again, I thank the invitation to participate in this summit. I would like to congratulate the Communist Party of China on its 100th anniversary, which has been celebrated these days. The Justicialist Party of Argentina and the Communist Party of China have generated a historic relationship that exchange of letters between their leaders, one Dr. Beron and Mao Zedong, almost 60 years ago. In those letters, they shared their views on the course of the world. Our political movement is just over 75 years old, while the Communist Party of China is already 100 years old. that members of the CPC have reason to be proud and to celebrate. Undoubtedly, the remarkable progress in the eradication of absolute poverty and the evident improvements in the people's life are among the most important achievements of the People's Republic of China in recent decades. Similarly, the progress in terms of scientific innovation and technological development achieved in such a short period of time should also be highlighted. Today, China is a world economic power and a central player in international politics. From Argentina, I also express my recognition and congratulations for these achievements. I hope that all political parties in the world will focus our objectives on bringing greater well-being to our peoples. My respectful greetings to all participants of this summit. Thank you very much.
感谢费尔南德斯主席的发言。现在请越南共产党中央总书记阮富仲发言。
General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam.
谢谢。尊敬的中共中央总书记、中华人民共和国国家主席习近平同志，
Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China.
尊敬的世界政党和政治组织的各位代表。
Excellencies, leaders of political parties and organizations.
100周年之际，我很高兴
On the occasion of the founding of the CPC, I would like to express my gratitude and happiness to attend the CPC and World Political Parties Summit. On behalf of our party, the government and people of Vietnam, I would like to extend the warmest congratulations to the Chinese government and the Chinese people. I would like to also extend greetings to all of you present. Over the past century, the CPC has led the Chinese people in making historic achievements that have been recognized the world over. Hereby, we would like to offer our heartfelt congratulations. We believe that under the leadership of the CPC with Comrade Xi Jinping at the core, we will continue to score even greater achievements and make China into a democratic, beautiful, and strong country. Dear participants, in the course to independence and development, we in Vietnam, the internationalistic tradition and the friendship between China and Vietnam. The Communist Party of Vietnam is attending this summit with great sincerity. We are here to discuss the important topic of seeking happiness for the people, the responsibilities of political parties. The great leader of Vietnam, the outstanding Ho Chi Minh, the founding father of Vietnam, said that people are the most important. Under heaven, there is nothing that is more important than the people, and nothing is stronger. I think all of us identify with this because people are the foundation for political parties and organizations. purpose of all political parties and organizations. Seeking happiness is the right of anyone. Aspiration for a better society in which everyone enjoys the right to development and to live a happy life. Everyone is equal and care about each other. This is our common aspiration. Besides, different peoples around the world may have different concerns, such as ending wars, putting an end to inequality, responding to climate change and pandemic, etc. Peace, development, and cooperation remain the underlying trends of our times. Peoples around the world also face the challenges of turmoil, conflict, lack of economic development, fluidity, and traditional and non-traditional threats, economic and social crisis, social turmoil, climate change, pollution, terrorism, etc. And now, COVID-19 is raging around the world, wreaking havoc in different areas of our society. As important political parties and organizations, we shoulder the important responsibility to play our due role, to work with governments of around the world and to jointly deal with challenges head-on. We should improve our governance capacities so as to seek well-being for the people. I would like to share the following thoughts. First, at the national level, we should implement policies and goals that aim at serving the people and put people first. We should take the happiness of the people as the most lofty goal of ours, and they should be the starting point and the finish line of each and every policy. We should follow these principles. Second, political parties should work together in great. We should enhance mutual understanding and international cooperation, respect the legitimate concerns of each other, and jointly deal with traditional and non-traditional security challenges. We should uphold the international law and use them to deal with regional conflicts. As long as different countries and nations work in unison with then people around the world will enjoy true happiness. Third, political parties and organizations have the urgent task to put an end and defeat the pandemic and to promote accelerated economic and social recoveries so as to create conditions for the happiness of we should work in concert to fulfill our tasks and obligations. However, we still have to do more to deliver effective international governance to ensure effective and equitable distribution of vaccines. Dear participants, the Communist Party of Vietnam put political document, the basic political tasks of our party, that is, to meet the strong demands of the people. Chairman Ho Chi Minh told us that the interests over the past 90 years, our party has maintained flesh and blood relations with our people. We have led the people of Vietnam in overcoming one difficulty after another. Since independence, we have led the Vietnamese people in scoring independence in 1945. thus realizing people's strong desire for independence. We also underwent 2 wars to realize the reunification of the country in 1975. Since then, we have worked relentlessly to safeguard national interests and to rebuild our country after the wars. Currently, Vietnam has entered the rank of a developing country with middle incomes. We have booming cultural development and a high cultural standard. We are in terms of Human Development Index, compared with people and countries in the same bracket, we are among the first. Over the past 1 year, we have fought relentlessly against the pandemic, and we have always put the life and health of our people first. We took proactive measures in fighting the pandemic. At the spent efforts in recovering the economy and ensuring the livelihood of the people. We have learned that we should always put the interests of the people first. We have to rely on the people, and we should utilize the strength of the people. In the process of development, we should always follow the underlying laws. At the same the environment, culture is the underlying driving force for the development of the country. We should fully leverage the enterprising spirit and innovation of our people. And we aim at developing friendly relations with countries around the world. With strong determination to further develop the country, we are working to build an effective and strong party and political system, at the same time pressing ahead with our reform and modernization drive, so as to realize independence, diversified development, and full integration into the international community. We will always be reliable for other countries, and we will continue to press ahead with friendly ties with other political parties and organizations to contribute to the development and progress of mankind. On this occasion, on behalf of Vietnam, I would like to send greetings and express our gratification and appreciation the parties for your valuable support. We thank China for its valuable support for our efforts at independence and development. I wish the summit a full success. Thank you.
Thank
you, General Secretary Ran Fuzhong. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Díaz-Canel, First Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba and President of the Republic of Cuba. Your Excellency, Comrade Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and President of the Brazilian People's Republic of China, distinguished guests, on behalf of the Communist Party of Cuba, its members, and the Cuban people, please allow me to express my warmest congratulations to the Chinese people, and in particular to you and the more than 95 million members on the 100th anniversary of the founding of the CPC. The founding of the Communist Party of China and New China were major events in human history. Since then, China, a great nation representing progressive and left revolutionary forces, has made important theoretical and practical contributions to Marxism-Leninism by holding high the banner of socialism. When the first National Congress of the Communist Party of China was held 100 years ago, it marked the beginning of a momentous chapter in contemporary history. Among its delegates was Comrade Mao Zedong. As the party leader, Comrade Mao Zedong has made great contributions to the revolutionary struggle and national liberation of China, which was large and impoverished back then. Such contributions with admiration. Today, after more than 4 decades of reform and opening up, China is recognized throughout the world for its strong economic base, which is supported by a huge domestic market and the experience gained in the exploration of socialism with Chinese characteristics. We see in China a united and industrious people, a culture, and highly trained, capable, and committed cadres. Above all, we see a party that has firmly and wisely addressed the greatest adversities and has been able to place integrated development, institutions, the rule of law, and the people at the center of its work. The CPC's effective battle against COVID-19 in eradicating extreme poverty are recent and admirable examples of its response to people's demand. However, in spite of these undeniable achievements, the U.S. government, deliberately concealing its hegemonic interests and world domination, is trying to portray China as a threat, while at the same time tarnishing the image of the Communist Party of China. The truth is quite different. In the context of the current complex international situation, China is an important element of balance, stability, and peace. It does not impose its model, adopt unilateral measures, or apply extraterritorial laws. China defends multilateralism and the principles of international law. In the battle against the pandemic, it has donated its vaccines to 80 countries and 3 international organizations and exported to operates with several nations in vaccine research, development, and production. It is well known that our close relationship with the Chinese people, the CPC, and the Chinese government is forged and continued by leaders of both nations. Excellent party-to-party ties based on equality, mutual respect, friendship, and cooperation are a benchmark and pillar of our bilateral relations. We are united by the determination to build socialism on the basis of national realities, mutual political trust, a common vision of sustainable development, and the utmost concern for people's well-being. Distinguished guests, with the triumph of the Cuban Revolution, a colonial past and imperialist plundering have come to an end. The road to justice, equality, and human dignity for all has begun. As a small nation, Cuba guarantees universal access to health and education, citizen security, and social tranquility under the principle of leaving no one unprotected. We ensure the equality of all people without discrimination of any kind. Cuba faces a criminal blockade. imposed by the US government more than 60 years ago, which was intensified during the Trump administration with 243 brutal measures that the Biden administration maintains. Those measures are in place despite the international crisis aggravated by the pandemic. In spite of this genocidal policy, Cuba has managed to sustain the vitality of its main services, attend to its entire population infected and suspected of COVID-19, and set up more than 20 molecular biology labs in record time, design and develop national and diagnostic kits, and develop 5 vaccine candidates. Those vaccines are expected to immunize the entire Cuban population and to help other nations. At the same time, our country has provided selfless and humanitarian medical assistance to several countries. 57 medical teams and 2,500 health professionals have been sent to 4 These humanitarian and solidarity-based principles of Cuban Revolution were rectified at the recent 8th Congress of the Communist Party of Cuba. They are proof that Cuban revolutionaries have always considered the needs of the people and international solidarity as priorities. These values are linked to the thought and action of the Fidel Castro, who laid the foundation for the construction of socialist Cuba, following the guidance of Marxism and Leninism. These ideals will be sustained and strengthened by the teachings of Army General Raul Castro in the actions of the new generation of leaders and all Cuban revolutionaries. Distinguished guests, we wish to reiterate our consistent support for the One China principle and our rejection and condemnation of interference in China's internal affairs. At the same time, we appreciate that the unequivocal stance of this great nation in solidarity with Cuba, which has paid a high price for firmly defending its noble ideals. Dear Comrade Xi Jinping, please receive once again our congratulations on the occasion of such a significant commemoration as an expression of the respect and affection that all Cubans feel for you, the Communist Party of China, and its heroic people. As I personally expressed to you in a letter on the occasion of this anniversary, that the Communist Party of China has governed China for over 7 decades and has made great achievements in building socialism. And the Communist Party of China have shown that it is possible to pursue sustainable development with sovereignty, independence, and deep convictions. The contributions made by you at the core of the Central Committee of the CPC give continuity to the work of several generations of Chinese communists and represent a qualitative leap in the adaptation of socialism to the realities of the country and the times. It is our deepest conviction that in 2049, the world will look with even greater admiration at the first modern socialist country to reach its centenary under the leadership of the Communist Party of China and the political vanguard of China. From Cuba, we congratulate you as your inspired followers. Let us unite in the urgent peace and well-being of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, First Secretary Diaz-Canel. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Rodrigo Roa Duterte, Chairman of the PDP Laban and President of the Philippines.
Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China. Excellencies, heads of states and governments, members of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the CPC Senate, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in behalf of the Partido Democrático Filipino Lakas Bayan or PDP Laban and to the Filipino people, I congratulate the Communist Party of the People's Republic of China on this centennial founding anniversary. We join you in that milestone marking a century of CPC's visionary leadership. The CPC oversaw China's extraordinary rise to prosperity, lifting over 800 million Chinese out of extreme poverty and driving a global growth in the process. This is a unique achievement made possible by the collective and dedicated efforts of the Chinese people under the leadership of the CPC. Indeed, a sleeping dragon, no more. China has realized its dream people. With this came great power and equally immense responsibility. We won't be any turning back. China has risen and will play an important role in the global affairs for decades to come. The world faces tremendous challenges from various security threats. While we see difficulties, we also glean many opportunities from greater cooperation and solidarity. I thank the Chinese government for its timely assistance that has helped the Philippines contain the COVID-19 pandemic and restart its economy. We value the friendships, ties between PDP Laban and the CCP that have grown significantly over the years. To further build mutual trust and confidence, we must sustain our constructive dialogue and peaceful engagement. This is crucial as the bilateral relations between our two countries expand and deepen. We count on China as a friend and a partner for peace and development. We trust in the collective wisdom of the great Chinese nation, that China will use its newfound strength in defense of what is good and just for all humanity. After all, we exist in one global village. Our destinies are inextricably linked with each other. Peace and prosperity, therefore, must be shared and enjoyed by all. The ties between the Filipino people and Chinese peoples are deep and enduring. They will remain so as long as we continue to value win-win cooperation, amity, and mutual respect. Thank you.
感谢杜特尔特主席的发言。现在请津巴布韦非洲民主联盟爱国阵线党主席
Mr. Emerson Mnangagwa, President and First Secretary of the Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front and President of Zimbabwe.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, Your Excellency, it is my honor to join you and other leaders at this World Political Parties Summit organized by China, CPC. Firstly, on behalf of the Central Committee of the Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front, ZANU-PF, and indeed on my own behalf, I wish to convey my congratulations to the Central Committee and leadership of the in particular to you, Your Excellency, President Xi Jinping, on the occasion of 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. The CPC has been our strategic ally dating back to the days of the excellent bilateral relations between Zimbabwe and China have been steadily growing since independence. The relationship was elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2018 during my state visit to the People's Republic of China. ZANU-PF support in boosting cooperation with China in a number of areas in order to promote the shared prosperity and the well-being of our two peoples, guided by the strategic comprehensive partnership that exists between our two countries. The party is indeed grateful to the Communist Party of China and the government of the People's Republic of China for supporting Zimbabwe on its development path and national rejuvenation. A number of infrastructure projects have been undertaken due to the Chinese support. These include the new parliament building, upgrading and expansion of the Robert Mugabe International Airport, and the construction of the Wange 7 and 8 thermal power station, among many other projects. We have equally welcomed a number of private Chinese companies in the mining sector and their steel production subsectors. Your Excellency, ZANU-PF is committed to delivering development for the people of Zimbabwe and to leading our country towards the realization of a prosperous upper middle income society by 2030. In this regard, our party draws lessons and inspiration from the successes achieved by the Communist Party of China. We applaud how the Communist Party of China has turned around the fortunes of China to be a global leader in a vast number of socio-economic spheres. We are confident that under the leadership of the Communist Party of China and Your Excellency President Xi Jinping, China will achieve its mission of realizing happiness and prosperity for the people of your great country, in line with the Chinese dream and ideology of socialism with Chinese characteristics. On our part, ZANU-PF is unwavering in advancing sustainable development. There's no one behind. As such, the aspirations of our people for a better quality of life are the focus of all party and government efforts. Under the new leadership of the party's Central Committee and government, we have adopted a new development model and constant improvement in the quality and the impact of development policies and programs and projects in our country. So far, notable successes are being scored with regards to macroeconomic stabilization, reduction of inflation, and overall projected growth. Discipline within the party and the anti-corruption fight across all spheres of society also remain fundamental. The other pressing national priorities include accelerating the agricultural revolution through modernization of that sector, chains and the beneficiation of our vast primary commodities, exploitation and the growth of the mining sector, leveraging on ICTs to drive an innovation-driven development agenda and industrial growth, modernization and development of infrastructure, energy generation, and power development. Under the ongoing ease of doing business reforms, we are desirous to create a favorable environment for Zimbabwe's development and an overall accountable, transparent, and corruption-free public administration. It is envisaged that the reforms will also be a catalyst to public and private sector investments in the economy, as well as the establishment of rural industry systems. These priorities, along with our quest to deliver a broad-based transformation, create new wealth and economic opportunities for all Zimbabweans, are encapsulated in the National Development Strategy 1. Success of the National Development Strategy 1 will depend on us. However, my country values the support from our strategic partners, such as the Communist Party of China and the People's Republic of China. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, allow me to express my gratitude to the Communist Party of China and of the People's Republic of China, and specifically to His Excellency President Xi Jinping for the role China is playing in mitigating the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in Zimbabwe. Since the onset of the pandemic within our jurisdiction, China has made timely donations of medical equipment, PPEs, and most recently, COVID-19 vaccine doses to our country. ZANU-PF further commends the leadership of China in advancing and promoting multilateralism in the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Because of the magnanimous leadership of the Communist Party of China and China, that countries in the developing world have been able to access COVID-19 vaccines. Finally, Your Excellency, I once again thank the Communist Party of China for organizing this important forum which will undoubtedly enable politics to share perspectives on advancing shared development and prosperity for all mankind. I therefore wish this event resounding success. I thank you.
President Mnangagwa. Now let's give the floor to President Mohammed Abbas, President of the Fatah Movement and President of the State of Palestine.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فخامة الرئيس شي جين
Your
جمهورية الصين الشعبية
President Xi Jinping,
الأمين العام للحزب الشيوعي الصيني، السادة الأمناء العامون لأحزاب دول العالم،
leaders of political parties of the world,
ورحمة الله وبركاته. أتوجه
greetings.
بخالص التحية وأصدق التهاني والتبريكات باسم الشعب
I
الفلسطيني
extend and sincere congratulations and blessings on behalf of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian Liberation Movement, Fatah, to His Excellency President Xi Jinping and General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and his dear comrades and members of the Political Bureau of the party on the occasion of the centenary of the On this occasion, we commend the great achievements by the great Chinese people under the leadership of the CPC since its inception. China has made great achievements, technological and development in other areas. It has set a great example ought to be emulated by all countries, making the People's Republic of China ascend to the top economic position in the world. In addition, gain great political, military, and diplomatic status. All this is attributable to the wise approach of the CPC, which is eminently embodied in the party's General Secretary Xi Jinping. The Belt and Road Initiative proposed by China in order to promote economic cooperation and partnership in development with many countries of the world demonstrates that China is a leading country in launching initiatives that take into account the mutual interests of people around the world. The world bears witness the distinction of the Chinese experience and the production of medical equipment and vaccines, as well as the provision of a helping hand to the countries of the world in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. Dear brothers, sisters, and comrades, the Communist Party of China has always stood by Palestine since the outbreak of the Palestinian Revolution led by the Fatah movement. And China's relationship with the Palestine Liberation Organization continues to strengthen as China recognizes the state of Palestine and has always supported Palestinian efforts in the United Nations and all international fora. The great Communist Party of stood by the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people to freedom, independence, and establishing our state on our lands, with East Jerusalem as our capital. For 73 years, our Palestinian people have been subjected to killings, displacement, injustice, oppression, racism, and theft of Palestinian land at the hands of the Israeli authorities. Most recently, the Israeli occupation authorities launched successive wars on the Gaza Strip, resulting in the killing of hundreds of Palestinians, the injury and displacement of thousands, and destruction of infrastructure and residential homes in the Gaza Strip. Supported by the Israeli occupation forces, extremist settlers continue to accelerate tensions and attack Jerusalem and the West Bank, especially the blessed Al-Aqsa Mosque, and conduct ethnic cleansing against our people in Jerusalem, the list of which is Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan neighborhoods. We are confident that China will continue to support the struggle of our people. On this occasion, we thank and appreciate His Excellency General Secretary Xi Jinping's initiatives for a peaceful solution to the Palestinian national laws. For our part, we assure you of our readiness to work with you and the parties of the Security Council and the Middle East for comprehensively and peaceful settlement that will end the Israeli occupation of our country in accordance with resolutions of the international community. And we affirm that China has an important and pivotal role to play. Dear brothers, sisters, and comrades, in conclusion, I extend my thanks to the friendly parties and personalities participating in this summit for their support to our people's legitimate struggle for freedom and independence. I wish the Communist Party of China, on this occasion of its centenary, progress, prosperity, and success. Thank you all.
感谢阿巴斯主席的发言。
Thank you, President Abbas.
现在请塞尔维亚
Now let's give the floor to Mr. Alexander Vučić, President of the Progress Party of Serbia and the President of Serbia.
Poštovani predsjedniče i dragi prijatelji gospodine Xi Jinping, uvaženi predsjednici i predsjednici vlada, vek postojanja komunističke partije Kine vek je velikih promjena u istoriji čovečanstva. Kada je pre tačno 100 godina mala ali odabrana
Over the
grupa
past
hrabrih
100
ljudi u
years since the
Šangaju
founding
započela
of the
druge
CPC,
masovnom osnaživanju i pomlađivanju
we have
kineske
witnessed
nacije.
profound changes, and the People's Republic of China has returned to the world political stage. This 100 years has not only changed the destiny of the Chinese nation, but also human history.
Koji će zauvek izmeniti sudbinu Kine, ali i lice čovečanstva. U decenijama koje su sledile, naslanjajući se na više od 5000 godina dugu tradiciju kineske kulture i civilizacije, osnivači KP Kine sa Mao Tse-tungom na čelu okupili su i ujedinili kineski narod u borbi protiv počinjenosti kolonijalnim silama, ali istovremeno i u borbi protiv svih spolja i iznutra
On the basis of 5,000 years of civilization of China, under the leadership of Mao Zedong, China fought the invasion of imperialists. The founding fathers of the Communist Party of China galvanized the energy of the Chinese people and integrated the wisdom of Marxism with Chinese characteristics, laying a foundation for socialism. its characteristics. Thanks to the leadership of Mao Zedong, Jiang Zemin, Hu Jintao, and Your Excellency, Mr. Xi Jinping, China has achieved the greatest poverty eradication in human history. Some people may regard it as an exaggeration, but it is a truth. Under the leadership of the CPC, over 700 million Chinese people have. Within dozens of years, China has been transformed from a developing country into a strong country. Thanks to the hard work of the Chinese people, China has become a leader in space exploration, artificial intelligence, and other areas. I want to emphasize that no political party or political organization can make the achievement so proud of it as the friend of China. On behalf of the Serbian nation and all the Serbian people and also the Progressive Party, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you on the 100th anniversary of the CPC. China has completed the building of a moderately prosperous society in all respects. The CPC Central Committee with General Secretary Xi Jinping at its core has proven to the world that the CPC will accomplish its missions. The great creativity of the CPC has brought about inspiration and hope to all the countries. We need to respect each other, help each other, consultate with each other, from interfering into each other's internal affairs, promote cooperation, and these are more urgent than ever before.
Kina će uvek biti graditelj svetskog mira, dajući svoj doprinos globalnom razvoju uz poštovanje međunarodnog poretka.
You once said that the CPC always represents the fundamental interest of the country and the people. All of us will be inspired by your remarks. Looking back into the great achievements made by the CPC over the past century, I believe that the CPC with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core all the challenges faced by the humanity and make its own contributions to the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation and world peace. We'd like to learn from China in terms of economic and social progress and strengthen our cooperation in various fields. The Belt and Road Initiative proposed by General Secretary Xi Jinping is a global initiative. Serbia is willing to make its own contribution to this initiative, and development is the prerequisite of peace. Serbia is a major participant in Eastern and Southern Europe of Belt and Road Initiative. We believe that the One China principle should be applied universally and it can never be compromised. Serbia will always remember the support it received from China when its people were subjected to suffering. We'd like to thank China for giving us consistent and principled support. Serbia adheres to a policy of independence, and we're proud of it. We believe that friendly cooperation with other countries is not only in the core interest of our country and nation, it is also our inseparable rights and interests. The Serbian people are in great love of China. We're committed to strengthening our exchanges and cooperation in various fields, including politics, economy, and culture, so as to deliver more benefits to our peoples.
Imajući u vidu sve što je Komunistička partija Kine postigla i ostvarila za svoj narod u proteklih 100 godina, energiju, samopregor I ljubav za otadžbinu njenih članova.
Over the past 100 years, the CPC has achieved all the set goals. Under the leadership of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, China will continue to accomplish its goals and draw up new blueprints. The Serbian people will be your sincere friends. Long live Serbia, long live the People's Republic of China, and long live Serbia-China friendship. Thank you, President Vucic. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Hun Sen, Chairman of the Cambodian People's Party and the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia. Your Excellency Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and President of the People's Republic of China. Your Excellencies, leaders and the representatives of political parties around the world, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. First of all, I'd like to extend my warmest welcome or congratulations to the Communist Party of China and the Chinese people, centenary of the CPC and the realization of your first centenary goal, building a moderately prosperous society in all respects. I'd like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank His Excellency Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee and the President of China, for initiating and hosting the CPC and World Political Parties Summit. The responsibility of political parties is of great significance in the context of spreading COVID-19. For political parties in various countries to enhance solidarity and deepen exchanges and cooperation. I speak highly of the brilliant achievements made by the CPC in uniting and leading the Chinese people, holding tight onto their own destiny. The Chinese people have realized rapid economic and social development, and in particular, made a series of major breakthroughs in the field of science and technology, transforming China into a major power. In making major policy decisions, the CPC has always attached importance to maintaining political stability and followed a people-centered approach for development, a practice worth emulating by political parties in other countries. As chairman of the Cambodian People's Party, I, together with the Cambodian people, embarked on building Cambodia at a time when the country was in dire straits, waiting to be rejuvenated. We can share the feelings of the CPC and the Chinese people as you carry sacrifices and overcome great difficulties. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, true friends stand together through thick and thin. The outbreak of COVID-19 is yet another proof of this piece of truth. In this pandemic, all countries should focus on the future of mankind, enhance solidarity, and move forward hand in hand. How should political parties, in the context of a spreading pandemic, to better enhance the well-being of the people and promote national development? I'd like to share with you the following observations. First, we must resolutely maintain political stability and prevent other countries from interfering in our internal affairs. This means that no matter what political stance a political party may hold, the interest of the country and the people must be the priority. And under no circumstances should a political party be reduced to a tool for external forces to subvert the country's political power. We hope that all parties will refrain from sitting idly or even adopt policies and take a clear-cut stand against wanton criticism and accusations. Instead, we should adopt a pragmatic attitude, advocate a spirit of cooperation, and solve various problems faced by mankind around the world and within their respective countries. Second, we must resolutely control the spread of the pandemic and life and health through solidarity and cooperation. To achieve this goal, COVID vaccines and making the vaccines a global public good will be the most powerful weapons. Multilateralism must be held, especially in vaccine production, distribution, and application. Since the outbreak, China has firmly supported Cambodia's fight against the pandemic by timely providing us with a large amount of medical supplies, PPEs and vaccines, as well as assistance to our commercial procurement of Chinese vaccines. I'd like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to China again. We speak highly of China's strong support and assistance to Cambodia, which has once again vividly exemplified the strong Cambodia-China friendship that shares will and woe. I'd like to emphasize again to Your Excellency General Secretary Xi Jinping that Cambodia wants to thank China again for its assistance, which has not only helped Cambodia with its national development, but improved its capacity to deal with external challenges and safeguard its rule. China's assistance has boosted our confidence to lead our country in its development endeavors. Third,
នាពេលខាងមុខការគិតគូរទៅលើការងើបឡើងវិញនៃសង្គមសេដ្ឋកិច្ច
We must promote economic and social recovery with the issue of common concern. We will give full play to the role of bilateral mechanisms, firmly support multilateralism, and in particular, actively participate in the Belt and the Road Initiative, which was proposed by Your Excellency Xi Jinping. Committed to mutual benefit development, the BRI will greatly enhance trade and investment and play a positive role in promoting development and prosperity in the region and around the world. I would like to once firm support for the BRI because I believe the initiative will play a positive role in reopening the economy and promoting economic and social development in Cambodia. Finally, I would like to once again extend my warm congratulations to the 100th anniversary of the CPC. Attending this event, good health and greater success in your lofty positions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prime Minister Hun Sen. Now let's give the floor to Mr. Imran Khan, President of the PTI and Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency Mr. Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party and President of the People's Republic of China, distinguished guests, representatives of political parties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great privilege to share my thoughts today at the CPC and World Political Parties Summit. On behalf of the government and people of Pakistan, I would like to convey heartfelt felicitations to His Excellency President Xi Jinping and the Chinese people on the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party of China. I'm confident that our discourse in the summit would shed new light on the role of political parties in advancing the well-being of people. Founding of the CPC in 1921 was a seminal event in world history. The vision of CPC leadership ignited the spirit of the Chinese nation and encouraged them to wage an epic struggle for liberation from foreign occupation. Chairman and subsequently Deng Xiaoping guided the Chinese people in reclaiming national dignity, self-pride, self-respect, and China's rightful place in the world. For decades, the CPC's spirit instilled new vigor and hope beyond China's borders. It inspired people of the colonized nations and contribute to the end of colonialism. CPC's astonishing success rests in the people-centric approach of its development philosophy, its inclusive development philosophy. It remained committed to serve the people and prioritize their well-being and interests. CPC's achievements of all-round national development, poverty alleviation, anti-corruption, and nation building are truly remarkable. It's something what we hope to emulate in Pakistan. Excellencies, CPC's achievements have opened new vistas of thought for political parties across the world. CPC has proven that attainment of political power is primarily meant for bringing a transformation in the lives of people, masters of their destiny. Indeed, political parties can only enjoy public support and legitimacy if they continue to serve the people selflessly. President Xi's visionary leadership has played a pivotal role and continued rise. His people-centric philosophy has made a critical difference. Recently, China has eliminated extreme poverty, one of the greatest achievements in the history of mankind. And at the same time, it has achieved the goal of building a moderate, prosperous society, a goal that Pakistan supports China's effort to safeguard world peace, contribute to global development, and preserve. President Xi's vision of shared prosperity through BRI has made a major impact on global sustainable development, thus proving his credentials as a world statesman. Under President Xi's stewardship, China has achieved major success in people's war against the COVID-19 pandemic. And his declaration of making the COVID-19 vaccine a global public good is reflective of his compassion and fairness. Excellencies, CPC's mission of great rejuvenation of Chinese nation and PTI's vision of Neo Pakistan reflect the respective aspirations of the people of our two countries. I formed the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf 25 years ago on the principles of accountability, transparency, meritocracy, Islamic welfare, and this to break the vicious cycle of elite capture, corruption, and nepotism. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf remains committed to its original mission of establishing rule of law and setting up a society that is humane and that has compassion. Today, the ISAS program launched by PTI government last year is one of the leading social protection program in Asia. In its second phase, we envisage to provide social protection to 8 million of our poorest citizens. We have made universal health coverage a priority in our health sector reforms. Under the ISAS Sahulat program, we aim to provide free of cost health insurance, initially to the families living below the poverty line, and subsequently to all families that are in the provinces governed by the PTI. Our 10 billion tree tsunami project reflects our commitment to countering environmental degradation and reversing the biodiversity loss. We are ready to contribute more than our share to protect this invaluable planet and help heal it from centuries of neglect. In the wake of emerging global and regional environment, Pakistan has recalibrated its priorities for economics. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the CPEC, the flagship project of BRI, complements Pakistan's renewed effort of this geo-economic shift with emphasis on economic integration and regional connectivity. Moreover, in line with my government's green vision, which aligns with Xi's vision for green China, turning CPEC into Green CPEC is a priority for Pakistan. Our abiding friendship with China and the CPEC complement this vision of peace for ourselves and for others, and shared prosperity and common development for our region and the world. Pakistan and China are iron brothers. We support each other on issues. In an era of complex and profound changes at global and regional level, our all-weather strategic cooperative partnership remains a strong anchor for peace, progress, and prosperity. This year also marks the 70th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations between Pakistan and China. Our two nations are celebrating in a befitting manner. I'm confident that the year 2021 would provide new vigor and vitality to our time-tested friendship. Excellencies, we must join hands to advance the noble cause of peace and development, people, and building community of shared future for all mankind.
Next, I
would like to invite Mr. Philip Nyusi, President of Frelimo and President of Mozambique.
Caro camarada Xi Jinping, secretário-geral do Comitê Central do Partido Comunista da China,
General Secretary of the Communist Party of China and President of the People's Republic of China, distinguished leaders of world political parties, dear Brazilian political parties, comrades, it is with great honor that I address all the comrades present at this summit in celebration of the centenary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. This summit will provide an opportunity for us to pool consensus and work for the well-being of our people and the progress of mankind. On behalf of Frelimo, the Mozambican people, and in my own name, I would like to thank Comrade Xi Jinping for inviting us to celebrate together the great achievements that the People's Republic of China has achieved in the past 100 years under the wise leadership of the CPC in seeking happiness for its heroic people. In this historic celebration, the life and work of the founding fathers of the Communist Party of China. We are living in a global village. Only by working together can we defeat the virus. Only through cooperation can we revive our economy and be confident again for a bright future. We need to stand together in great solidarity. Dear General Secretary Xi Jinping and dear comrades, we are committed to working together and to upholding in our culture and religion. We believe that this is an important prerequisite for social progress. Under this background, Frelimo and the CPC are committed to the same The future of different political parties and countries is closely interconnected. We are working together towards multilateralism, and we are working together to build a community with a shared future for mankind. Distinguished General Secretary, One China principle.
Este princípio não foge à governação descentralizada atualmente privilegiada a nível global.
Principle has been recognized by the great majority of countries in the world. The Belt and Road Initiative, put forward by General Secretary Xi Jinping, provides a great opportunity to build an open to benefit and win-win cooperation. The unique experience of the CPC is also an inspiration for our party to work for a strong and prosperous country, for a strong country. Dear comrades,
remontam desde os tempos da luta de libertação de Moçambique. As relações têm se consolidado ao longo da nossa
história. We already started our friendship with the CPC. The friendship has been going stronger as time goes on. It is a great honor to participate in this summit with the theme of for the well-being of the people, responsibilities of political parties. This demonstrates the profound friendship between our two parties. Dear comrades,
em 2022, a Frelimo celebrará o seu 60º aniversário e sob o lema 60 anos da Frelimo, consolidando a unidade nacional,
are going to embrace the 60th anniversary of our party under the banner of consolidating national unity and promoting peace and development of Mozambique. This theme also demonstrates our responsibility and our purpose. Our people are working together to overcome the difficulties in the way of our development, including terrorism. We will continue to enhance the solidarity and unity of our people and promote for peace and development of our country. Frelimo would like to send congratulations to General Secretary and through you to the 95 million members of the party and the Chinese people for the important achievements in the building of a prosperous, harmonious, and developed society. Congratulations to the CPC, to the great Chinese people. I wish this summit success. We hope that our friendship will be further consolidated through this summit. I'd like to thank General Secretary for your invitation once again. Thank you very much. Thank you, President Nyusi. Next, to invite Mr. Hage Gengub, President of SWAPO Party and President of Namibia.
Comrade Xi Jinping, President of People's Republic of China and host of this summit, Comrade Felipe Nyusi, President of Mozambique, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, President of South Africa, Comrade Emerson Mnangagwa, President, Comrade Secretary Generals of sister parties and comrades. I extend greetings on behalf of the SWAPO Party, government, and people of the Republic of Namibia to the Communist Party of China and the Chinese government and people. It is an honor to participate in this historic marking the centenary of the Communist Party of China. I wish to thank our gracious host, His Excellency Xi Jinping, for inviting SWAPO Party to participate in this historic event. Many of the liberation movements on the African continent represented the revolutionary vanguard against the forces of imperialism and colonialism around the world. It is therefore pleasing that we can meet as free and sovereign people to celebrate this landmark occasion. In April this year, SWAPO celebrated the So we view the Communist Party of China, which is turning 100 years, as our older sister party. The Communist Party of China was born in the crucible of a heroic struggle for national independence. The Communist Party of China led the people to victory through the revolution, built the People's Republic of China, and by so doing, opened a new journey towards prosperity. Similarly, SWAPO led the people to victory through the liberation struggle, built the Republic of Namibia, thus opening a new journey towards prosperity. Founded on the principles of solidarity, freedom, social justice, and progress, we identify wholly with the theme for this summit, namely seeking happiness for the people, responsibilities for political parties. This summit comes at an opportune time. Having fought and won the battle against racism and imperialism, it is important that our attention now turns towards the economic emancipation of our people. Namibia is still affected by a legacy of economic exclusion, which has resulted in Namibia being one of the most unequal societies in the world. It is for this reason that upon assuming of my duties as president, I declared all-out war on poverty and corruption. In this regard, the SWAPO-led government has made significant inroads into reducing poverty in Namibia. By spending a significant percentage of our national budget on health, education, social welfare, and infrastructure development, we have managed to reduce poverty, which stood at 70% in 1990 to 80% today. I wish to quote Comrade Xi Jinping, who said, "To win the fight against poverty, the key lies in targeted measures. We should take into consideration local conditions and apply different measures for different villages, households, and individuals," unquote. Namibia, in its fight against poverty, aims to emulate the approach by developing targeted measures that address local conditions and apply to our villages, households, and individuals. By so doing, I have no doubt that we will be able to win the war against poverty. Furthermore, we have adopted our own unique strategy of addressing poverty at the grassroots through the concept of town hall meetings. By visiting all 14 regions and sitting for an average of 6 hours, the President, together with his team consisting of the Prime Minister and Cabinet Ministers, directly engages with the people by answering to their questions on the spot. And where the questions require research, the answers are provided of regional governors. I am pleased to note that China has succeeded 10 years ahead of schedule in meeting the first target of eradicating extreme poverty as per the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I have reflected on China's State Council's information officers' narratives on Chinese experience and contribution on poverty alleviation, and noted some contextual insights for developing nations such as Namibia. The key relevant lesson for SWAPO, which has formally adopted the ideology of socialism with Namibia, is encapsulated by the late Chairman Deng Xiaoping's statement, and that, quote, "Poverty is not socialism. Socialism means eliminating poverty." I intend to draw lessons from poverty alleviation strategies such as the 4+2 system, which refers to a democratic policy making process on village affairs under the leadership of village party organizations. 4 means 4 steps. 4 steps. 1, proposals should be put forward by the party branch. 2, jointly discussed by the village committee and the party branch. And 3, deliberated by party members. And 4, resolutions should be adopted by village representatives. 2 means transparency on 2 levels. 1, resolutions taking level and implementation level. Therefore, the results should be made known to the public. Starting strategies such as the 4+2 system and applying it in tandem with our concept of town hall meetings will enable us to increase the participation of the previously disadvantaged in the decision-making and implementation process in the battle against poverty. At this juncture, I wish to express Namibia's appreciation to Comrade Xi Jinping, the Communist Party of China, and government of China for the donation of 100,000 Sinopharm vaccines and retailing of 150,000 vaccines. We are currently going through a third wave and the most difficult phase of our war against COVID-19. In the true spirit of all-weather friendship, China has come to Africa and Namibia's aid at this hour of need. The SWAPO Party government reaffirms its commitment to work closely with the Communist Party of China and the government of the People's Republic of China towards the achievement of a shared future of prosperity for our citizens. I conclude with a reflection on the words of the iconic leader of the Communist Party of China, Mao Zedong, who said, quote, "Revolution is a drama of passion. We did not win the people over by appealing to reason, but by developing hope and fraternity," unquote. On this momentous occasion, a century of Communist Party of China's history, let us continue our drama of passion for a revolution by building on our well-established foundations of hope, trust, and fraternity in order to uplift our people from the subjugation of poverty and elevate them to the heights of. Through tireless struggle, enduring passion, and unwavering solidarity, we shall achieve the ultimate victory of economic emancipation. Happy 100-year anniversary to the Communist Party of China. I thank you.
感谢各根部主席的发言。
Thank you, President
现在
Gengov.
请刚果劳
Now
动
let's
党
give the
主
floor
席
to President
刚果部
Denis
总
Sassou
统萨
Nguesso
苏发言。
of the Congolese Labour Party and the President of the Republic of Congo.
Excellences, Monsieur le Président de la République populaire de Chine,
Your Excellency, Secretary of the Communist Party of China and the President of the People's Republic of China.
Chinois, chers camarades, Mesdames et Messieurs les dirigeants du Parti communiste chinois,
distinguished leaders of the Communist Party of China,
dirigeants des partis politiques du monde,
distinguished leaders of world political parties, ladies and gentlemen,
je voudrais remercier le président Xi Jinping.
I'd like to thank President Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, and the Chinese people for the honor given to the Congolese Party of Labour and me to participate in this summit in the framework of the celebration of the 100th anniversary of the Communist Party of China.
En cette heureuse circonstance,
on this happy occasion, I extend my sincere congratulations to the leaders and the friends of China for the centenary of the founding of the Communist Party of China.
Je salue les performances élogieuses.
I salute the commendable achievements of your country under the far-sighted leadership of the Communist Party of China in many fields such as health, education, and poverty.
La lutte contre la pauvreté. Ainsi, sur la voie de la prospérité et du développement,
on the road to prosperity and development, China has achieved, among other things, the eradication of extreme poverty for 800 million people, goal set by the Communist Party of China.
Par ailleurs, face à la pandémie de COVID-19,
moreover, in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, your country's production of vaccines against this health hazard is a resounding success in the service of China and all humanity. Great success has been achieved.
Le président Xi Jinping, le Parti communiste chinois, le gouvernement et le peuple chinois pour l'aide généreuse en équipement et en vaccins.
My gratitude to Your Excellency Xi Jinping, the Chinese government, and the Chinese people for the donation of vaccines from China to our country.
Impacte l'économie mondiale pour un développement partagé des nations.
Today, through the building of a community with a shared future for mankind, dedicated to the well-being of the people, the work of progress carried out by China impacts the world economy for a shared development of nations. In the face of challenges such as religious fundamentalism, terrorism, unilateralism, poverty, and climate change, among other unprecedented challenges, all countries must mobilize for a genuine dynamic of solidarity and progress.
The
COVID-19 pandemic shows us that the world is a global village in which peoples and countries must remain in solidarity in order to shape their common future together. The friendship and collaboration between the Congolese Party of Labour and the Communist Party of China go back a long way in history.
Nos deux partis ont soutenu
and with determination the processes of decolonization and liberation in Africa.
Le Parti congolais du travail et le Parti communiste chinois.
The Congolese Party of Labour and the Communist Party of China have a clear convergence of views on international and foreign policy issues, such as respect for the sovereignty of states, non-interference in others' internal affairs, multilateralism, and win-win cooperation.
Dans les affaires intérieures des États, le multilatéralisme, la coopération gagnant-gagnant. Les progrès significatifs réalisés par nos deux pays posent les bases d'une coopération plus renforcée.
The significant progress made by our two countries lays the foundations for stronger cooperation that will carry the torch of our friendship even higher.
C'est ici le lieu de réaffirmer, une fois de plus, notre détermination à consolider davantage.
We are ready to work together with General Secretary Xi Jinping to further advance our comprehensive strategic partnership for the prosperity of our two peoples and cooperation between our two countries.
La poursuite inlassable avec le président Xi Jinping de nos efforts communs pour la prospérité de nos deux peuples. Pour sa part, à travers une gouvernance pour le peuple, en vue d'une société
For our
nouvelle.
part, with a view to the well-being of the people, the government of the peoples of the Republic of Congo is carrying out its action on the basis of the guidelines inspired by the main lines of our political project entitled Together, Let Us Continue the March. In this respect, a new national development plan for the period 2020 is being drawn up.
Est en cours d'élaboration.
In line with our social project, which has been widely approved by the people and is entirely focused on the real expectations of the people.
Sur les attentes réelles des populations. Pour conclure, je voudrais
To conclude, I'd like to reaffirm the readiness of the Congolese Party of Labour to further consolidate its relations of friendship and cooperation with the Communist Party of China for the well-being of our respective peoples.
Le monde d'aujourd'hui et de demain.
The world of today and tomorrow cannot be envisaged without China. The Congolese people feel lucky that since 1960, we have been able to learn from China. Our friendship with the Communist Party of China and the Chinese people is always renewed. Long live international cooperation. Thank you.
感谢。
Now let's give the floor to Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa, leader of Sri Lanka, Potujana, Peramuna, and Prime Minister.
चीना कम्युनिस्ट पक्षे महालेखम सह महाजन चीने जनाधिपति Xi Jinping
Your Excellency, Mr. Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee and the President of China, distinguished guests, greetings. On behalf of myself and the Sri Lankan people, I'd like to extend my warmest congratulations to the 100th anniversary of the CPC. In fact, such congratulations are based on the historical relationship between China and Sri Lanka. China is our most historical friend, and we must acknowledge that China is the most sincere friend we have, according to the way China has dealt with us during that very long history. I'd like to take this opportunity to announce that in order to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the CPC and the profound friendship between Sri Lanka and China, Sri Lanka will launch commemorative coins across the country. Your Excellency, General Secretary Xi Jinping, it has been 72 years now since the Communist Party of China converted China into Red China. In 1957, we established diplomatic ties with China. However, the leftist parties of our country have had relations with the Communist Party of China even before that. Actually, it was in the 1940s.
Sri Lanka Communist Party 1940 දශකයේ ඉඳන්ම චීනයේ කොමියුනිස්ට් පක්ෂය සමග සමග
We have been able to maintain friendly relations with the Communist Party of China because the Sri Lankan people, like the Chinese people, respect the idea of equality, mutual respect, and the brotherhood between Sri Lanka and China. Your Excellency, General Secretary Xi Jinping, the Communist Party of China has developed into the strongest political party of the world. After 70 years of interactions, political parties in the world have learned an important message from China. That is, China will never try to impose its own political views on the world. And China has never meddled in the internal affairs of other countries. On the contrary, China is always doing whatever it can to help other countries and keep them at the same level. It is very important for other countries to maintain their sovereignty and independence. The foreign policies of the communist only elevated the influence and the international status of China, but have attracted other countries to develop friendly relations with China and open their doors to China. In fact, Sri Lanka is one of the staunch members of them. Those policies are not only and it has become the reality that China will lead the rise of China in the century ahead. Dividing of the world into two camps is not important anymore. China has made historic contributions to helping countries in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the whole world in escaping from such difficulties. In particular, Premier Zhou Enlai has made important contributions to the development of non-alignment movement. The Belt and Road Initiative proposed by China has benefited Sri Lanka a lot. In history, Sri Lanka was a major hub in the maritime Silk Road. Like the Buddhist monk Fashion, many merchants and business people had dealings with our country while they were traveling to and from China. I believe that with this Belt and Road Initiative, China will revive the prosperity of Asia that was in place 500 years ago. Thanks to this initiative, China will bring a lot of valuable experience to many other countries. The open economy has spread through the world, even changing the very structure of many countries. However, China didn't accept the open economy as something that divides the country into classes and weakens the country. On the contrary, China has blazed a trail of finding the development model that suits its national conditions. And China has set an example in dealing with globalization and opening up its economy. Your Excellency, General Secretary Xi Jinping, China has confidence in the infrastructure facilities. China has always believed that improving the infrastructure will provide new ways and new strength for the people. We have constantly invited China to develop the infrastructure of our country. In addition, China has pledged to realize carbon neutrality by 2060. Those countries participating in the Belt and Road and receive the Chinese investment should work together with China to realize carbon neutrality so as to make sure the Indian Ocean can be free from pollution. I'd like to thank China for successfully developing COVID vaccines and generously donating them to other countries. The CPC stands ready to share its vaccines with other countries, setting response. With concrete actions, China has responded to the call of the WHO. That is, everyone should be vaccinated, no matter they're wealthy or poor. We're deeply touched that China has authorized countries, including Sri Lanka, to produce Chinese vaccines. In the world initiated by the Communist Party of China will be honored as the decisions taken for the benefit of humanity. And the CPC will be honored for everything it has done. Your Excellency, General Secretary Xi Jinping, Sri Lanka is a Buddhist country. During the pandemic, let's pray for the world. May all creatures be healed. May they be devoid of suffering. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prime Minister Rajapaksa. Now, I'd like to invite Mr. Morales, President of MAS, IPSP, and former President of Bolivia. Your Excellency, General Secretary Xi Jinping, President of the People's Republic of China. Dear leaders of political parties, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, On this day of great importance for the Chinese people, as we commemorate the 100th anniversary of the founding of the CPC, I would like to send revolutionary greetings on behalf of the Movement Towards Socialism, political instrument for the sovereignty of the peoples, and the Bolivian people, sisters and brothers. China is more than 17,300 kilometers away from my country, but that distance has not been an obstacle to strengthening our ties of brotherhood and cooperation. The plurinational state of Bolivia and the People's Republic of China maintain a relationship marked by a broad and diverse cooperation and mutual respect, which, during the 36 years of diplomatic ties, allowed us to develop political trust, economic complementarity, and mutual learning. As a trade union leader, I have always admired the revolution that for decades. This revolution has great achievements for the benefit of the 1.4 billion Chinese people. For example, last February, China officially announced that it had lifted 770 million rural population out of poverty. It means the reduction of China's poor population represents more than 70% of the world total. The socialist policies with Chinese characteristics allow China to move towards becoming the biggest economy in the world. The Chinese economy seeks win-win benefits to the people. The Chinese policies are in stark contrast to the capitalist policies imposed on us for decades by the United States, where predatory, individualist, and competitive capitalism has plundered the resources of our peoples. China upholds the purposes and principles of the UN Charter, which is very important for dealing with global challenges, including the pandemic has shown the value of multilateralism. Climate change, social inequality can only be solved through international cooperation.
Asimismo, quiero destacar el ímpetu y el espíritu de articulación mundial que proyecta China.
I would also like to highlight the spirit of global cooperation that China is projecting with the Belt and Road, a project that will help to lift million people out of extreme poverty and 32 million out of moderate poverty in the countries that are part of it. We believe that shortening distances is a priority.
Es por ello, en Sudamérica hemos planteado la construcción del corredor bioceánico.
We have proposed the construction of the Central Bi-Oceanic Corridor, which will connect the Atlantic and Pacific coasts. Sisters and brothers, I would like to thank the Chinese government and people for their solidarity with my country since the beginning of the pandemic crisis. To date, we have received 2.7 million Sinopharm vaccines and other health supplies to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. We are sure that only the unity of the people will help us face this global crisis. The MAS, IPSP, like the Communist Party of China, has shown that it is possible to govern with honesty, dignity, and sovereignty without submitting to the interests of the US empire. During the 13 years, 9 months, and 18 days, the democratic and cultural revolution generated social, political, and economic stability without precedent in the history of Bolivia. We have nationalized natural resources. We recovered strategic companies for the benefit of the people. As a result, extreme poverty was reduced from 38.2% to 15.2%. The size of the economy increased considerably as the nominal GDP rose from $9,574 million in 2005 to $40.581 billion in 2018. Similarly, thanks to the nationalization of strategic resources and high levels of tax collection, the resources transferred from the central government to national governments and universities increased almost fourfold, from $824 million in 2005 to $5 billion in 2018. That is to say, municipalities, governors' offices, and higher education institutions enjoyed higher revenues. Net international reserves, or NIR, increased from $1,714 million in 2005 to 15.1 2014 and reached $8.946 billion in 2018. Go on listing more of the achievements of the democratic and cultural revolution. But these achievements, which benefited the elderly, professionals, young people, and children, went against the interests of the Bolivian oligarchs. Government at the service of the people. Sisters and brothers, on November 10, 2019, radical right-wing groups and financed by the United States and its allies, perpetrated a coup in my country in order to appropriate our natural resources, such as lithium. This led to the formation of a de facto government. Racism and intolerance towards the native indigenous peoples and the poorest people of Bolivia. But thanks to the conscience and unity of the people, on October 18, 2020, the MAS IPSP was consolidated. Our brother, Luis Arc Catacora, was elected president of the state with 55.1%. Dear General Secretary Xi Jinping, both China and Bolivia are peoples with deep millennial roots. Those roots define our culture, identity, and our perspective of life. To conclude, in my capacity as president of the movement towards socialism, political instrument for the sovereignty of the peoples, I express my willingness to enhance cooperation and complementarity between our two parties and join hands to promote the people's well-being in our two countries. Thank you.
感谢莫拉莱斯主席的发言。
President
现在
Morales.
请摩洛哥
Next,
公正
I would
与
like
发
to
展党
invite
主席
Mr.
及首相
Osmani,
欧斯曼
Secretary
尼
General
发言。
of the Justice and Development Party and Prime Minister of Morocco.
شكرا جزيلا. فخامة الرئيس شي جين بينغ رئيس
Your
جمهورية
Excellency Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Central Committee of the CPC and President of China.
السادة زعماء الأحزاب السياسية عبر العالم.
Dear leaders of the CPC, leaders of political parties from all over the world, ladies and gentlemen, greetings. It is my pleasure to celebrate with you the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. Over the past 100 years, the CPC and its leaders have forged ahead with unremitting efforts, leading China to become a country with the world's largest economy. Under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, China has been able to achieve scientific and technological achievements by being committed to independent and sustainable development. It has set long-term strategic goals and made bold strides towards them, and has made remarkable progress that have attracted worldwide attention. In addition, China is promoting cooperation with other countries and economy. Your Excellency, General Secretary, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate you, the leaders of the CPC and the Chinese people, on the position that China holds today in the world. As a permanent member of the UN Security Council, China has long pursued a foreign policy of promoting world, maintaining a balance in international relations, and helping and cooperating with developing countries. China has made an important contribution to world peace and stability. The Moroccan Justice and Development Party values its friendship with the CPC and the tremendous development of relations.
وجمهورية الصين الشعبية وهي العلاقات التي عرفت تحولا كبيرا ومهما.
Our relations took a major leap forward in May 2016 when King Mohammed VI paid a historic visit to China. During that visit, he and Your Excellency signed a joint declaration on the establishment of a strategic partnership. Both countries are committed to developing bilateral relations based on a shared belief in South-South cooperation and mutual benefits. On the importance of Africa and the coordination of Africa policies.
ما بينهما في سياستهما الإفريقية ومن هنا عرفت العلاقات بين البلدين دينامية نوعية خلال السنوات الأخيرة بفضل
The dynamism of relations between Morocco and China has been qualitatively enhanced by the special and comprehensive partnership between the two countries.
بجهود الصين الشعبية
which covers a wide range of areas. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, China has provided Morocco with support in the form of anti-epidemic drugs, medical supplies, and a large number of vaccines. I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the Communist Party of China, the Chinese government, the Chinese people, and the Chinese leadership. Thank you for your support on the vaccines. Witnessed by His Majesty Mohammed VI, the two sides signed agreement on the production of vaccines in Morocco. At the political level,